Hey, what's up? Welcome back to this new video. This one is paper 1-1 of May-June 2022 for Math paper 1. Now, of course, you will have a formula sheet to help you out with your questions. And of course, you can use your calculator if you want to. Now, with that being said, obviously, let's move on to questions. So here we have question number 1. So we have to find the constants a, b, and c. So here we have a, b, and c. So we have to find those values in this equation, in this expression. Now, as you can observe already, we will be dealing with indices. So what are the laws that we know regarding indices? So we have a few things to know. For example, let's say I have x power a multiplied by x power b. Since the base are the same, we know we can combine them into x, and then here we have a. Because this is multiply, become plus b. So this is one of the things we have to know. Now what else? We know that if it's x power a divided by x power b, because the base are the same, we can combine them together. Here we have a, because here we have divide become minus, and here becomes b. So we just have to know these laws to solve this question step by step. So one by one, let's try to simplify. So we have p, q, and r, right? So let's bring all the p to one side, all the q to one side, all r to one side, and see what happens in the end. So here I have p, I have root of p, right? And at the base, what do I have? I have this thing. So let me first try to expand this. If you bring the power in, that will become p squared minus 2, and then minus 1. So if I bring p to one side, I'll have p squared at the bottom, so p squared will be here. Multiply by, I have a q 2 over 3 divided by q minus 2. And then finally, multiply by r power minus 3 over r power minus 1. So now we have to simplify using the laws that we just saw over here. So this is mainly, obviously, divide. So we have to know this one for this question. So now, here we have p square root of p. What does this mean? We have to know that square root of p really just means p power half, right? So now p power half divided by this. That will be p. As we have seen here, take the power of the first one. Because we have divide become minus the base. Now multiply this one q power 2 over 3. Because we have divide become minus, here we have minus 2. Finally, we have r here. R will be power minus 3, and then minus because of the divide again, and then here we have minus 1. Okay, so simplify one by one and see what happens. Of course, I encourage you guys to use your calculator here because I don't want you guys making mistakes, right? So that will be p, how about half minus 2, that should be minus 3 over 2. Q will be 2 over 3 plus 2, that should be. So 2 thirds is 2 times 3 is 6 plus 2, that will be 8. 8 over 3. And R will be what? Minus 3 plus 1, that should be just minus 2. Okay, so that will be your answer for this one. But we have to provide the values of A, B, and C. So A is this one, B is this one, and C is this one. So you can write this down obviously if you want to. A will be minus 3 over 2. B will be 8 over 3, and R will be value of minus 2. So I guess the main takeaway here is we have to know this to solve this, right? If you know this, then there should be no problem. That will be your question number 1. Okay, let's move on to question number 2. So here we have what? We have a particle moves in a straight line such that its displacement, again, displacement is not the same as distance travel. Displacement is a vector quantity. Now, from a fixed point O at the time of t is given to you by this. So basically, the equation of S is given to you by this. That's the main takeaway. For time is more than or equal to 0. Great. Now, part 1. We have to find the exact speed. Speed is a scalar quantity of the particle when t is equal to 1. Now, we have the displacement. We have to find the speed. Now, if we have done enough of those questions, we have to know something. We have to know that to find speed, we have to differentiate its displacement. If you want to find acceleration, we have to differentiate the velocity or speed. So we have to know this to solve this. So one by one. So first we need to find the velocity. That will be ds by dt. So differentiate this one. So first multiply by the power, become this. And then obviously minus 1 to the power, that become minus 3 over 2. Then multiply by d by dx of the value inside, that will be 3. That will be minus 3 over 2, 1 plus 3, t power 3 over 2. That is your value for v. Right. Now, obviously you can simplify if you want to. It's up to you. We just have to find the exact speed at time equal to 1. So when time equal to 1, let's see what happens. What happens to the value of v? That will be minus 3 over 2 times 1 plus 3 times 1, right? And then minus 3 over 2. So simplify, minus 3 over 2. 1 plus 3 is 4, so 4 minus 3 over 2. So now we do understand we want to, it's up to you, can always express this in your calculator. 4 power minus 3 over 2. That should be 0.125. So your answer will be minus 3 over 2 times 0.125. Let's see what happens. Times minus 3 over 2. That will be minus 0.1875. Or you can write this in terms of fraction, minus 3 over 16. But again, this is the velocity, v. We want to find the exact speed. Now speed, obviously, we don't care about the sign because this is a scalar quantity. Speed will be 3 over 16. And that will be in terms of what? Meters per second. And that will be a question per day. Hopefully that makes sense. That's the main takeaway here. To find the velocity, we have to differentiate the displacement. Now let's move on to part B of your question. So here we have to show the acceleration of a particle that it will never be 0. So let's first derive the acceleration or the equation for that. We know v is equal to minus 3 over 2, 1 plus 3t, 3 over 2, right? Now from this we have to find acceleration. That will be what? First multiply by the power, that will become 9 over 4, right? So this times this, and then we have 2 minus 1 to the power, that will become minus 5 over 2, and then multiply by d by dx by dt, of the value inside, you will have 3. So that will become 27 over 4, 1 plus 3t power this. Now if you were to simplify, that will become 27 on top, and the base will be 4, 1 plus 3t. This will become positive when you send this down because it was negative on top. When you send this below, become positive 5 over 2 for the power. Now we have the equation for the acceleration. Now we have to show that the acceleration will never be 0. Okay. So the reason why it will never be 0 is because from what you can see on top here, we do know that t will always have to be more or equal to 0. So given that t is more or equal to 0, we understand that this and this will have to be what? If this is more or equal to 0, if you place 0 here, will have to be more or equal to 1. Hopefully that makes sense. If it is equal to 0, this will become 1. But if it's more, it will be increasing. So at least this will be 1. So hence, we understand that this will always be more than 0. Hence, we can conclude that acceleration will never be 0. That is part B of your question. Hopefully that makes sense. Again, if you don't understand, watch it again. Try to understand why I said what I said, and hopefully that will that will drill the answer inside your brain. That was part 2, and let's move on to part 3 of your question. So now let's move on to question number 7. So a function f is such that f of x is equal to this. Now we can see this is a ln function, ln of 2x plus 1. So I think in paper 1, 2 we had something y equal to exponential function, right? So in part paper 1, 2, the other variant, we learned the shape of exponential was something like this. Now the question will be, what is the shape of a ln curve? It will be something like this. Reflection along the line y equal to x. But anyways, this will be helpful for the questions below. Now obviously the value of x has to be more or equal to minus half. Question part 1, we have to write down the range of f. Now what does it mean? It means we have to know what values of f, of the function f, can take along the vertical axis. For example, if I have the y-axis and the x-axis, I do want to know, what is the limit of my function on my vertical axis? For example, if I were to kind of sketch this curve, I know that my value of x has to be more than this. So this is the point minus half, for example, right? Now again, why is it x has to be more than this? Because as you can see here, we have 2x plus 1. If you equate that to 0, you will have minus half. And we understand that for ln curves, we have a vertical asymptote. Similarly, for exponential curve, we had a horizontal asymptote. Now, asymptotes are line which your curve approaches but never touch. For example, the shape of this graph will look something like this. Again, it is only a sketch. It is not exact, but it would look something like this. Now, what is the range of the value of f of x? You can see that the value keeps going down until minus infinity, and the value keeps going up until infinity. So the y range is infinity to minus infinity, which means the range of f, it can take any value in the real world. There's no limit. You can take any value for that domain. Now let's move on to question part B. Let's see, what do we have? So a function g given to you by this, where x can be any value in the real world. Now part 1, we have to find the exact solution of this equation. So you would say, first, let's find this. I don't know what this is. So we know g of x. So what happens if you take in the value of f of x? So what does this mean? It means that g takes the value of f of x. We replace the value of x by f of x. So that will become 5. X becomes f of x minus 1. Now this is given to you right here. We just have to replace and see what happens. You have 5. F of x is ln of 2x plus 1 minus 7. Now we just have to solve the equation, so we equate that to 13. Let's see what happens. So first thing first, we have to send all the constant to one side. You will have the same thing over here. 7 plus 13, that should be 20. So finally, divide by 5 on both sides. 5 will go away, and here you will have the value of 4. So 2x plus 1 has to be exponential 4. Now, obviously, x will be what? Exponential 4 minus 1 divided by 2. Then this will be your exact solution, which is x equal to this. That will be part B of your question. Now let's move on to part C of your question. So we have to find this solution. Again, we have to find this, and then equate them to each other. So what is f prime of x? It is simply differentiating f of x. So df by dx is what? So we have f of x was given to you by ln of 2x plus 1. If you were to differentiate this, it is simply 1 over the value inside, that will be 2x plus 1, multiplied by the d by dx of this value, that is just 2. You will have 2 over 2x plus 1. Now, what is g inverse of x? So we know g of x is given to you by 5x minus 7. So first step is to let y equal to g of x, which is 5x minus 7. Make x become subject, you will have 5x is equal to y plus 7. X will be y plus 7 divided by 5. Here you go. that will be x. Now, we do understand we have to express g inverse of x in terms of x, that will be x plus 7 over 5. So now we just have to replace it back in the equation and see what happens. So step by step. On the left hand side we have 2 over 2x plus 1 equal to g inverse, that will be x plus 7 over 5. Now we just have to cross multiply and see what happens. So that will be 10 over here, and that will be what, x times this. This will give you a 2x squared plus x plus 7 times this will be 14, and then plus 7. So simplify, send everything to one side. You will have 2x squared plus 15x minus 3. Okay, so this is a quadratic equation. So how can we solve this? We can use either factorization or using the formula. But as you can see, it will be quite impossible to factorize, so we will have to use the formula. This is the value of a, b, and c. So x will be minus b plus minus root of b squared minus 4ac. So b squared, 15 squared, minus 4 times a times c. That will be 249. Divided by 2a, that will be 4. Let's see what happens. First value will be minus 15 plus root of 249 divided by 4, that should be. So x will be 0.915, or x will be minus 15 minus root of 249 divided by 4. That will be minus 76.69. Obviously, you will choose the positive value right here because of the conditions that we have on top, right? So x will have to be 0.195. As you can see here, x is only more than this value, so we have to be careful of that and choose the right one for your answer. And that is your question number 3. Now let's move on to your question number 4. So the diagram shows a graph of y equal to f of x, so the modulus of f of x. Now, where f of x is a cubic curve, cubic means the power of x has to be 3 cubic. Now, we have to find the possible expressions. As you can see, it ends with s, so it means that we have more than one kind of expression for this f of x. Now, how would you find a solution, or how would you find the equation of the curve? We'll look at their solution. We'll look at where the curve cuts your x-axis. As you can see, this is the value of x equal to minus 2, x equal to 1, and x equal to 3. So from that, we can find the factors. So let me write this down. I have f of x can equal to, factors will be, we'll send this over here, that becomes x plus 2. Send this over here, become x minus 1. Send this over here, become x minus 3. So for now, we have this as the equation. But now we have to check something. If you take this, multiply by this, and multiply by this, we are supposed to get the y-intercept, which is the value of 24. So let's check. 2 times minus 1 times minus 3 is the value of 6, which is not equal to 24. So how can you make it become 24? As we know, if you multiply this by 4, that will become 24. So same way, multiply this by 4 right here. This is obviously one of the expression. Now, the other expression is very simple as well. We just have to have a minus sign here for the other expression. So what do I mean? If you were to think about this, what is the shape of a cubic curve? So in this way, it could be this shape. It could be this shape. You could say it could be this shape, one of the shape, or it could be this shape, right? So this is the other shape. As you can see, in this case, we can see the y-intercept would have been minus 24, and in this case, the y-intercept is 24. Because of that, because of these two variations, two possibilities, we have to take into account of having this plus minus in front of the 4 sign. This is your question part A. Now let's move on to question part B. On the axis below, we have to sketch the graph of y equal to modulus of 2x plus 1, and the graph of y equal to 4 then x minus 1, of course, are still the modulus. Now the first step in this kind of question is I would first ignore the modulus sign. I will first assume we have a straight line, y equal to 2x plus 1. Now let's find two passing points. Let's say when x is equal to 0, y will be the value of 1. And when x is equal to the value of, let's say, minus 1, the value of y will be minus 1, right? So 2 times minus 1 is minus 2 plus 1 will be this. So this is the two passing point for this line. So let me draw this. So let me have more space over here. So again, you have to choose the right scale for it to show in the graph. So you can have this and this, this and this. So I will have minus 1 over here, minus 2, 1 and 2. Now on top you can choose a different kind of scale, but we'll see what happens next. Let me choose 1, 2, 3. 1, 2 and 3. Okay, let me choose this could be, so just to make sure that everything will fit in here, so let me try to use other points as well. So let me first find the other curve or other points that I need for the other line before I make the vertical axis, just to make sure that I have enough space for both. So this will become what? Y is equal to 4x minus 4. Now when x is equal to 0, the value of y will be minus 4. So let's have minus 4 here. So I have enough space. That should be minus 2, and that should be 2 and 4. Okay? And if the value of x will be the value of, let's say, 2, the value of y will be the value of 4. Right? So 2 times this will be 8, minus this will be 4. So we have the passing points required. Now, the first line I will draw will be obviously this equation and this equation, which is not the answer yet, but I will show you guys how do you find the answer in the end, right? So of course you guys will be drawing this with a pencil so you can erase and then find the right answer. So first one will be the point 0 and then 1. So 0, 1 should be somewhere in the middle, right? And then minus 1 should be somewhere, should be somewhere over here. So if you want to join those two, you will have your line for the first one. Okay, that's the first one. Now how about this one? This one will be 0 minus 4, so 0 minus 4 will be right here. And then 2, 4 will be somewhere over here. Yeah, somewhere over here. So let's join those two. Okay, here you go. As you can see, if you keep going, it will eventually meet. So this is the one point of intersection that we might look into later on. Now, after you draw this curve, now we can correct it and make it become a modulus curve. Now, what does a modulus curve mean? It means everything that is below will come above, right? So as you can see here, we have this one. So from this point on, everything here will reflect on top. So which means this point, which was minus 1, minus 1, it will become minus 1, but it will become 1. Has to go on top. So let's measure this. Should be something over here. Let's measure always so we have the correct value. Now it becomes something like this. Of course, you will be erasing this part, right? You will not be using pen. You can just erase that part for the, so you will have this line. Now the red line, I will label this as this one, which is y equal to modulus of 2x plus 1. Now let me use a different color for this one. So everything below will go up. So this was the point minus 4. So 0 minus 4 becomes 0, 4. So this and this will join right here. Of course, make sure you have a straight line, right? This and this will be the other one. Okay, and this is y equal to the value of modulus 4 minus 1. Here you go. Now we have to state the coordinates of the point where the graph meets the axis. As you can see, this is the point. of 1, 0, right? This is the point of that we used was what? At the x-axis equal to 1, at the y-axis, so let me write this down. The y-axis, when x is equal to 0, y was found to be, sorry, it is on the x-axis when y is 0, I apologize. So this line is the x-axis. When y is 0, replaced you will have x was minus half. So the point here will be minus half 0, right? And what is this point? This point is given to you right here, which is 0, 1, right? 0, 1. And this one will be 0, 4. So we have to show those points as well for your full marks as required by the question. But hopefully you understand how do we draw this kind of graph, modulus graph. First we draw the graph without the modulus, and then everything below we just reflect on the top equally. And then in the end, if they request you to show the coordinates, you just show that for your full marks. Now let's move on to the question part 2. So we have to find the exact solution for this equation. So how would you solve this? There's two ways. One way is you can square both sides to cancel out the modulus and then solve the equation one by one. Or we can just solve this like this. So we can write 2x plus 1 equal to the other side, which is 4x minus 4. Or it could be 2x plus 1 negate the other side will be minus 4x minus 4. That will be 2x minus 4x is equal to minus 5, so minus 2x is minus 5. So x will be 2.5. 2x plus 1 is equal to minus 4x plus 4. Send this over here, will become 6x, and that will be the value of 3. X will be the value of 0.5. So these are the value of x for which this is true. Now obviously you can double check using your graph, right? You can see that clearly my graph meets here and here. So the possible value here will be 0.5, and the value here will be, as you can see, should be 2.5. So you confirm that kind of makes sense for my equation to see where they meet. So these will be the values of x for which these two graphs meet. Okay, so that will be your question number 4. I hope the first half of the video was somewhat helpful. If you guys would love to access the full video, feel free to click on the Patreon link on the main page, or otherwise, you can go to the description below and click on this link to access the Patreon page for the full video. With that being said, good luck and thank you for watching.